Oh my goodness. Um, the PIF are back in the news again, this time making headlines by being linked to Chelsea. Are there any financial improprieties there? I don't know, but can't wait to get into it. Let's go.
AG.
Hey guys, my name is JB. Welcome to another edition of Off the Mic. This is our YouTube channel where we bring you all the latest soccer content from across the globe. So before we get into this exciting topic, I'd like you to please like and subscribe to the channel. So we went thinking about producing another show with the PIF because we just recently made a show a couple days ago discussing how they sort of like bought a lot of players and investing a lot of money in European football and in all other sports, really. So, but over the past sort of like few days, there's been sort of rumors, or should I say suggestions circulating around the press, social media, that the links with Chelsea are potentially breaching, you know, financial fair play rules. What am I talking about? Okay, so we all know that when Roman Abramovich sold his club, Chelsea, to Todd Bowley last year for about 2.5 billion, and then in January, Todd Bowley went on this investment, or should I say, buying spree. The man was spending money like a drunken sailor. You know, any player that were linked with other clubs, he go and essentially outbid them. I remember at one point Arsenal had an agreement with Rafinha, and then Chelsea had an agreement with Rafinha, but eventually went to Barcelona. Arsenal had an agreement with Mudryk, and then all of a sudden, he's buying Mudryk. And I mean, he was linked to all the players in general. The man spent 600 million since he's taken over. But this is not just free money in soccer. There's rules and regulations like financial fair play, despite some clubs making a mockery of it. So by June 30th, Chelsea need to be basically have made some money out of all the purchasing to meet the fair play regulations. Uh, at the moment, they recorded pre-tax losses of about 120 million pounds from last year, and this is not even factoring in the purchases that they made in January. So, and it was announced that in the off season, Chelsea are going to basically have a garage sale of their players that they didn't want, and literally there was a list of players that you could say, oh, gee, this guy, this guy that were put on the on social media as to have been rumored to be listed by Chelsea of the players that they wanted to get rid of. Now the sales have been slow up until now. So Chelsea have currently, as we speak, about 3 or 4 players linked with Saudi Pro League clubs. I mean, we've got Ziyech, we've got Mendy, Koulibaly. Those are the definite that the club has agreed the transfer fees with them. And it's a matter of just tidying up the personal terms and stuff like that. Excuse me. But we also know that we've got Aubameyang, and now we've heard that Hudson-Odoi is basically also on the chopping block and being negotiated to be sold to Saudi. So this is sort of like piqued everybody's interest and saying, oh, coincidence? Now, why would people question the coincidence? So the thing is, Chelsea are majority investor for Chelsea is an organization called Clear Lake. They've got about 60%. Now PIF have invested in PIF in Clear Lake. So that's the link. Now, I'd like you to take a listen of a video for one of the Sky Sports presenters who breaks it down eloquently, and then we can come back and unpack that. Take a listen.
This is something that's been brought up a lot in the last couple of days because obviously Chelsea have spent so much money, £600 million over the last 2 windows. They need to balance their books. They need to sell some of their players. And out of the blue, suddenly the Saudis have come along and said, yeah, we'll have some of your players and we've got £100 million to give you. So people from the outside are looking in and maybe saying, looks a little bit strange. Suddenly you've come up with a way to balance the books. And people have also said that the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, who owns these Saudi clubs, has also invested in a US private equity fund, Clear Lake Capital, who are majority shareholders at Chelsea. And people have sort of tried to see if there's something strange going on there. But from what we're being told, that has got nothing to do with it. The Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, invest in lots of private equity firms all over the world. And Clear Lake has investments in like 400 different companies. So Chelsea would say that there is absolutely no conflict of interest there whatsoever. But obviously, you know, you're going to be hearing a lot more about players moving to clubs in Saudi Arabia because I think the Saudis are here to stay. They're very, very serious about this. And obviously they've got the money basically to do what they want.
So you've heard the man. So that's the relationship between Chelsea and Clear Lake, and everybody is raising their antennas. So we have people like Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville putting their 2 cents in. Essentially, Gary Neville was called for the Premier League to ban or stop these transfers or ban some kind of transfer market between the Saudi government and some Premier League players. I mean, this is just way over the top from Gary as usual. But what I can suggest is that essentially this is the lack of proper regulations that circumvent things like conflict of interest within the Premier League or within UEFA that has led us to this chart. So this has dragged us to this pathway where now we're questioning things. And quite frankly, my personal view, I'm enjoying this. I am enjoying this is because all the European big boys, they like to flex their muscle. They're the ones. Barcelona have been buying players left, right, and center. Madrid from the Galacticos have been known to spend. But once another entity starts purchasing, buying players as well, overspending Madrid, Barcelona, and some of the big wigs in the Premiership, the bullies don't like it. Well, I'm quite happy to see this happening. Is to just see what happens in the football world where the power shifts, the power dynamics are obviously changing. Now, these boys are not playing around, they've got a lot of money and they want to put it in football. So, as far as these guys, the Spanish league chief Tavares is always whinging and complaining about how or the Premiership, and I wonder what he thinks about these boys now coming to purchase them, making all these exorbitant transfers and buying players, offering them these inflated sort of like wages. So I mean, the basic premise is that Chelsea are selling their surplus players at inflated prices to cover their, or to meet the financial fair play sort of like budgets and regulations. I mean, we have no evidence of this impropriety. Has the PIF invested in Clear Lake? Yes. Does Todd Bowley have investments with Clear Lake? Yes. Is there a link between PIF and Todd Bowley? Yes. But do we have evidence of impropriety? No. Does it mean that the PIF is funding Chelsea's losses by over evaluating their players so they can make a profit? Maybe, but we don't know that. Although, I mean, Chelsea are also selling like some of their players. I mean, Kovacic is going to City, and I understand the Mason Mount is being tracked by Manchester United. So, I mean, this is up for debate, but makes for some interesting reading. And I can't wait to see how this turns out, basically in the soccer sphere at the moment. But all I know is PF are causing some waves. So listen, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. We'll catch you on another show. Thank you. Goodbye.